Give me some water. This is like the best camera interview of all time. I have everything I need. You guys don't need to help me at all. This is me hiking the Appalachian Trail. Here we go. Mile 0. Oh, this is gonna be such an adventure. I'm Joe McConoughay, and my trail name is Stringbean. I hold the speed record for the Appalachian Trail in the self-supported style. I ran 2,160 miles in 45 days, 12 hours, and 15 minutes. So I was averaging just under 50 miles a day. I ran the whole trail with this pack right here. This is everything I carried on the Appalachian Trail. This is a Palanta Joey pack. It's about 24 liters. It was a pack prototype. Lightweight backpacking was really catapulted in the 2000s, where the whole sort of concept with ultralight backpacking is to streamline everything to make things as efficient, but also usable for what you're doing. So something like this is great. I'm trying to go 3 to 5 days with about 25, maybe up to 30 pounds of weight. This backpack uses Gridstop, which is a modern backpacking fabric. It's a very thin, lightweight material. It's water resistant, very abrasion resistant. I wore this for the entire time in the AT. You can see a little bit of damage down here. So most backpacks have a frame, which is either an internal or an external frame. This is neither. This does not have any kind of internal support. So the lack of a frame and these running style vest straps make it a great option for a lightweight, fast packing bag. My goal when doing the AT was never have to take my pack off ever. So I had a great day when this thing was on my back the entire time. Currently, my pack weighs about 17 pounds. So this is about 2 days worth of food, maybe a day and a half worth of food. These front pockets here, these store about 600, 700 milliliter water bottles. I have this filter on the water, Sawyer filter, so I don't have to actually stop. It's honestly, you feel kind of like James Bond. Like I literally would go up to a stream, I'd be running, and be like, that looks good, fill it within a few seconds, and then be back kind of fully hydrated and ready to roll. And I particularly like this Sawyer filter. This is basically a microfiber filter that filters things to 0.1 micron. I like to use a mechanical filter as opposed to a chemical filter just because of its durability. I like Dasani because they are lightweight. The plastic is pretty thin. Another common water bottle people use is a Smart Water bottle. Fresh Stream mountain water is a delight, particularly on very hot, humid days. I also have small pockets up front. I would usually put something small, compact, easy to snack on. These can store about 500 to 800 calories is usually how much I'd put in them. I'm gonna whip out a salami stick right now. I would eat a salami stick while running. Let's dive into my bag here. I have a variety of snacks that sort of comprise my holistic diet that I have on trail. Protein is probably the hardest thing to get on trail. Bars I found is kind of the best way to do that. I also have Pop-Tarts. That was one of the snacks that I would like save for special moments. I am fine eating a lot of nuts. I averaged about a pound of trail mix a day, which is about 3,000 calories on the ATs. I had 13 resupply boxes where we had each box for each location. We had a certain number of calories. The most important thing for me on this in terms of diet is making sure I got enough calories. I lost about 15 pounds on the AT. So I packed generally 7 to 7,500 calories per day, when in reality I was eating closer to 9 or maybe 10,000 calories per day. Every day when I came into camp, I'd take my bag and I wanted to see everything that I had. So I'd give it a good old shake. Sometimes things fall out. There's my GoPro. So my goal each day was to go as far as possible. Usually sunset was a pretty good time to start wrapping things up. I would try to find a spot that was just convenient enough to sleep in, where I could basically throw out all my stuff, have a flat spot of ground to sleep on. Ideally, I was close to water, so I could give myself a hiker shower, which was basically splashing my crevices with a little bit of water from a stream or something. This is a Thermarest Z pad. It's a closed cell foam pad, which means the foam itself is providing the protection underneath you. This is what I would sleep on every night. I actually have, if you can see here, I cut it and sort of modified it so that it will fit to the contours of my backpack. Most people don't know what a bivy is. Bivvies originally come, it's short for bivouac sack, which is something that mountaineers would use. So a bivy sack is just a lightweight tent that's really a minimalist style, wherein you're looking to spend the majority of your time in camp, sleeping, or in your sleeping bag. This bivy sack goes about the length of my body. It's almost just like a mummy bag. A lot of people will ask you if it is claustrophobic, and in fact, yes, it is claustrophobic. This is an Enlightened Equipment quilt. You can see it's very compressible. Inside of this sleeping bag, essentially, is filled with down, which is what keeps you warm. It is a quilt simply because it lacks a zipper. It helps save weight. When you're actually sleeping and you put a down fabric on the ground, you're removing a lot of the warmth properties of that piece of equipment. So it makes sense to have a quilt that just simply drapes over your body rather than is zipped and tied entirely to your body. Down functions through its fluff. So that's where a quilt is great for. It just removes some of the excess materials that don't actually really do much for you at the end of the day to keep you warm. I was extra cozy in my sleeping bag. No, it's honestly a very comfortable system. I got the poncho right here. I would rarely set this up. It's a poncho tarp, a multi-functioning piece of equipment. I would use this whenever the rain was substantial enough to bother me, and that would be enough to sort of cover me.
So this is what a southern thunderstorm looks like.
This is a DCF, or Dyneema composite fiber, decently abrasion resistant, but very tear resistant fabric that is a very common ultralight fabric, specifically for shelters. This is my spot tracker. A spot tracker is a GPS device. In order to validate your record, you need proof. So every 30 minutes or so, or hour, this would ping. And if it could catch a satellite, then it would ping information to that satellite and it would be recorded.
Here we are, halfway. Let's go, Stringbean.
I used a Black Diamond Storm headlamp. I would definitely run at night, even through the Appalachian Trail. Like, I was kind of scared of running at night, to be honest. It was intimidating. I had a smartphone. My phone was really useful because I wanted to confirm with every resupply location that they actually got the package they were supposed to have. I also needed to charge my GoPro, and I also needed to charge my spot tracker. I was constantly juggling getting into town and thinking about how much do I charge my charger, other electronic devices, and what is the right amount of charge to be able to get from point A to point B. I had floss, duct tape, toothbrush, toothpaste, Vaseline lip therapy, needle and thread. I had a backup safety pin and Neosporin. Also, I had my ID and a credit card. I literally got like a normal toothbrush, and then I took a hatchet and just hatcheted off the end of it to shorten it and to save a little extra weight. That's what some people call gram counting in ultralight backpacking, where you take all the little things you can do to minimize weight and remove them. Another thing I used was some needle and thread. I restitched my pack. It took me maybe 5 or 6 days of slowly seeing this tear and break apart before I finally decided it was worth taking 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I stitched this shoulder strap back into place. And lastly, with a needle, it is used for me to pop blisters. So that's also why I have this safety pin here. Pocket knife's great, and it's nice to have a multi-tool on it. I mostly just use the knife feature and the scissor feature. This helped me cut guy line or cut other twine that I needed. It also helped me cut my thread. I also use toilet paper, the fun stuff, which is pooping in the woods, is always like a hilarious topic, no matter who you are. I use toilet paper on the AT. Your goal is to leave no trace. That's a basic backpacking principle, and I certainly followed that while I was out there. Well, I have gone to like a TP-less system of using something called the backcountry bidet. It's basically like washing yourself, like washing your butt, but just with the water that you have on hand. This is the AT guide. This is something that is sort of a staple and standard for any thru hiker. This is really nice because it provides a few select maps for critical areas, what they offer, how much they might cost, and what other amenities are in a certain area. So before actually going on the trail, I ripped up all the important papers out of this that I might need from section to section. I packaged them up and put them into different resupply boxes, so then when I got into town, I'd have these immediately on hand to be able to look at and reference if needed. Thru hiking's changed a lot since I did it in 2017. There are apps, so there's something called Far Out, is a popular thru hiking app, and they have all of this data essentially in a similar organized fashion, all into your phone. Let me show you some of my worn gear. So I wanted to have different shoes throughout the entire trail that I could swap between based on the different challenges that I would experience. So I brought a few shoes to compare, since I don't have those original shoes from years ago that are pretty similar models. So the first shoe we have is the Brooks Divide. This was closer to the Mazama. I wore the Mazamas on areas like Pennsylvania, which is also known lovingly as Rocksylvania. Trail shoes are designed to have a little bit more protection. You're going over roots and rocks and technical terrain. You need your foot to be able to adjust because you're gonna land on things unexpectedly. It also has lugs that provide extra traction and extra grip. I'm wearing Injinji toe socks, so they have little finger puppets for my toes. These are compression socks or calf panties, as one of my good friends refers to them as. And what this does is help promote blood flow and also protects your skin. So this hat is just a lightweight running cap, protects you from the sun. So this was something I wore every day. This is a smart wool shirt. Wool is one of kind of the best fabrics you can use as a backpacker. Comfortable, lightweight. I also have a smart wool long sleeve, which I would use to supplement in slightly colder temperatures. To be fair, I use polyester most of the time I go running, but wool does a better job at keeping the smell off. The shorts I wore, which these are also smart wool shorts, they have a merino wool underwear liner. So that was one of the things on the AT that I had to deal with too, was some extreme chafing. Shorts almost always had sort of an underwear liner to them. And more recently, you've seen a lot of shorts that have more of a tights liner to them. To me, like having a liner is kind of non-negotiable. I had gloves, which these are just nice fingerless gloves. The one I used on the AT, I actually just bought garden gloves from a dollar store down in Georgia. I cut off the fingertips, but they did a pretty good job. So these are Black Diamond Carbon Z trekking poles. They're called Z poles because they fold up, they're compact. They're very lightweight. I was using them pretty much the entire time. I would either have them out in front of me and just use them sort of as standard hiking poles, or whenever I was running, I'd kind of throw them up, grasp them by the middle, and just run with them by my side. They're also great when you come across wildlife, so I'd tack on them and it makes a good kind of jarring noise. So this is pretty similar to the watch that I had on the AT, which was a Timex Ironman, a very simple start-go type watch. Money mattered, but also the charging factor of a smartwatch is really tough. So I've since upgraded to a smartwatch. This is a Coros Vertex 2, and this is the watch that I use on all of my long expedition-y type trips. It is pretty primo with battery life, and to me that's the big sell. So this will get you 100 plus hours. It can tell you the elevation gain and loss. It can tell you the grade of the trail that you're going on. So technology is crazy compared to when I did the AT, and that was in 2017. When I was in the whites, this was one of the lowest points on my trip.
Looks skinny.
I dropped about 3,000 feet of vertical gain and about 3 miles off in the wrong direction.
And almost too big.
A watch like this would tell you that you just dropped a crap ton of elevation, when in reality, the trail was supposed to follow a ridgeline and I maybe was supposed to lose 300 or 400 feet, I realized that if I really wanted to get the record, I was basically gonna have to go through the night on the very last day and put over 100 miles in one consecutive push without sleeping.
Right about 100 miles out, and I'm gonna pump myself up. Woo!
I feel very fortunate to have done the Appalachian Trail when I was 26 and have sort of carried that ideology on as an athlete. So things that I really love are long multi-day races and efforts. I've done the Long Trail, the Arizona Trail, and the John Muir Trail. On top of that, I also still love pushing the envelope with backpacking and fast packing. So I work as a backpacking guide. Twice a year I'll go out and basically connect high mountain traverses and routes with clients. So this is everything I carried in the Appalachian Trail.